Michigan. It's one of the so-called Rust Belt states that Donald Trump won in 2016, helping him deliver the presidency. Now, within the past couple of hours, the Democrats also flipped neighboring Wisconsin, which Donald Trump narrowly won 4 years ago. And that means that Biden now has a total of 264 electoral college votes, while Donald Trump has 214. Remember, the magic number, of course, to become president is 270. Now, here in yellow, you'll see the states still in play. They include Nevada, Georgia, and North Carolina in the south, as well as some Midwestern states, the Midwestern state of Pennsylvania in particular. Donald Trump's campaign has filed several lawsuits to stop the counting, but Joe Biden is urging his supporters to be patient, insisting he's on track for victory. He's addressed the public for a second time since the vote counting began, pushing back against Trump's warnings.
I'm not here to declare that we've won, but I am here to report when the count is finished, we believe we will be the winners. Every vote must be counted. No one's going to take our democracy away from us. Not now, not ever. America's come too far. America's fought too many battles. America's endured too much to ever let that happen. We, the people, will not be silenced. We, the people, will not be bullied. We, the people, will not surrender. My friends, I'm confident we'll emerge victorious.
Now, the Trump campaign is demanding a recount in Wisconsin, which has also gone to Biden after a very tight race there, and there's now less than 1% between them. So we're still waiting on Pennsylvania, the state where Joe Biden was born. Donald Trump is still in the lead there, but the remaining mail-in ballots are mostly from the Democratic-leaning cities of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and their suburbs, giving Biden a good chance to catch up. Trump has filed a lawsuit here too, calling for an end to the counting of mail-in ballots. North Carolina is one of several states where Trump's claimed victory, but the result is still too close to call there as well. Here, mail-in ballots postmarked by Election Day are accepted until November the 12th. No results from further south in Georgia either. Donald Trump leads to cling on to Nevada to claim victory. Nevada, as you know, has 6 electoral college votes, which will take Biden from 264 to the magic number of 270. Is narrowly leading there with 86% of the votes tallied so far in Nevada. And so once more, this is the state of the race. Joe Biden with 264 electoral college votes so far, just a few away from the 270 needed for victory, 214 for the incumbent Donald Trump. Now, we have correspondents in all the places that matter this hour. Natasha Gonane is standing by in Wisconsin. Mike Hanna is covering the Biden campaign from his home state of Delaware. Kimberly Hockett is looking at the Trump campaign. She's our White House correspondent in Washington, D.C. First, we go to John Hendren in Michigan. John, the Trump campaign had filed a lawsuit to halt the vote counting in Michigan, but now Michigan has been called for Biden. Is this final?
Well, it certainly looks so, Foley. I'm at the Michigan State House in Lansing at a rally called Count Every Vote. And that's what the state is still doing despite that Trump lawsuit. There have been some self-appointed Trump poll watchers who have burst into the central counting office in Detroit. While that counting has been going on, the police were called in, but the counting continues, and the state of Michigan expects to have the remaining votes counted by the end of the night. Now, 97% of the vote has been counted, and at that point, Biden has a 1.2 percentage point lead, which is nearly insurmountable, especially when you consider the fact that the remaining votes are early votes and largely from the area around Detroit, which leans Democratic anyway. So, yes, this does look final. The Trump campaign could stop the vote. What they claim is that they haven't had an adequate opportunity to monitor the vote counting. And so they want the vote stopped so they can bring people in. But in fact, the Associated Press has monitored people who are at the polls on behalf of the Trump campaign. And the Attorney General of Michigan says that the campaign has had adequate access to all of the vote counting. So whatever happens in that lawsuit, unless they can invalidate a large number of votes, this will remain final, and it is widely seen as the outcome.
All right, thank you, John Hendren in Lansing, Michigan. Let's go straight to Kimberly Halkett covering the Trump campaign from Washington, D.C. Kimberly, so Joe Biden getting closer to 270. What's the reaction from the White House, from the Trump campaign to Michigan being called in favor of Biden?
Donald Trump is not accepting these results. In fact, the U.S. president and more specifically his children as part of his campaign have held a news conference in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They are alleging that there are improprieties to the count that took place in Michigan. And as a result, they are not only calling to have their observers look at some of the votes that have already been tallied, but they are alleging that some of those votes tallied may have been manipulated.
How many votes do we have to be ahead? 400,000 is not enough? With 80+% counted, I think there's only 14% of the vote to go. Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools? You know something? The Democrats do think you're stupid, and they do think you're fools, and that's why you get called deplorable and chumps. So, we're going to stick with this. We're going to win this election. We've actually won it. It's just a matter of counting the votes fairly.
Kimberly, the lawyer for Trump, Rudy Giuliani, very combative there. The Trump campaign moving to intervene in Pennsylvania, disputing what's going on in Michigan, and focusing a lot of energy on Pennsylvania. But if Biden indeed has won Michigan, Arizona, and possibly Nevada, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Well, the president thinks it does. In fact, he has tweeted saying that he has claimed Pennsylvania, also Georgia and North Carolina, and believes that this gives him a big lead. In fact, he tweeted this. Some of that tweet was flagged by Twitter as being potentially misleading, that in fact some of these states may have already been called for Joe Biden. But the president, you can tell, is in a fighting mood and is disputing much of what has already been claimed by Joe Biden. This has led to an enormous amount of animosity in the streets of the United States, not just Detroit, but also here in Washington, D.C. In fact, as it came into work today, there were posters up around Black Lives Matter Plaza saying, "Take to the streets, stop Trump from stealing this election." Americans are glued to their mobile phones right now. In his legal challenges, many will allege that he stole this election. It's clear that this is not going to be resolved peacefully or quietly.
Well, certainly a tense wait for the final outcome. Kimberly Halkett in Washington, D.C. Let's go to Mike Hanna now, who's in Joe Biden's home state of Delaware, joining us from Wilmington. Nothing is legally over, of course, Mike, but Biden right now has mathematically the better position.